Hello everyone, my name is Miss Yemisi. I'm a mathematics tutor. I will be teaching mathematics for grade 2. And the topic of our lesson today is fractions. We're going to be learning about fractions. And the objective of the lesson is 1. You need to know the meaning of fractions, the definition of fractions. The second objective is for you to be able to name the part of a fraction. And the third objective is for you to be able to identify fractions using different models. Those are the objectives of the lesson. We need to achieve these objectives at the end of the lesson. So let's get started. Let's start with the first objective, that is to find the meaning of fractions. What does fraction mean? You've heard about fraction before. You've seen it on so many occasions, but you don't know the meaning. So we're going to be starting with what a fraction means. A fraction means when you divide a whole into equal parts. Fraction means dividing a whole into equal parts. I will be sharing my slide with you so that you'll be able to see the definition of a fraction really on your screen. Fraction means dividing a whole into equal parts. This is what you have on your screen. You can see your screen, you can see what fraction means. It means when you divide a whole into equal parts. Fraction means dividing a whole into equal part, or a whole that is divided into equal part. That's the meaning of a fraction. But there's something you need to understand from this definition. There's a particular word you need to understand. That word is a whole. What do I mean by a whole? What does a whole mean? For you to be able to understand fraction properly, you need to know what a whole means. What is the meaning of a whole? Remember, fraction means dividing a whole into smaller parts or equal parts. Now, what does the whole mean? I will tell you what a whole means, and I will be showing you what a whole looks like. A whole means something that has not been split or divided into smaller parts or equal parts. A whole means something that has not been split into pieces or something that has not been divided into smaller parts. So I will share with you what a whole looks like. Remember, a whole means something that has not been split or divided into smaller parts. Something that has not been split into pieces or into smaller parts. So let me show you what a whole looks like. Yeah, this is what a whole looks like. This is a whole. You can see this object has not been split or divided into smaller parts to make a fraction. So we get fraction from whole. We always get fraction from whole. So this is what a whole looks like. A whole is something that has not been split or divided into smaller parts. So this is what a whole looks like. So this is a whole. So once you know the meaning of a whole, you will be able to understand fraction better. So fraction means when you divide a whole into smaller parts. So I will be sharing my whiteboard with you. I will show you how to get fractions from a whole. So just let me share my whiteboard with you so that you can see how we can get a whole. We can get fractions from a whole. Let's see how we can get fractions from a whole. I'll share my whiteboard with you so that you can see how to get fractions from a whole. Yes, you can see my whiteboard on your screen. So I will be starting with a whole. We'll be starting with a whole. This is what a whole looks like. I already showed you before what a whole looks like. This is a whole. This is a whole. I'm going to be drawing another whole. Now I will be drawing it so that it can look better than the first one. This is a whole. Now I will now begin to divide this whole into smaller parts. Let me begin to divide this whole into smaller parts so that it can make a fraction. This is a whole. And let's assume this is a whole pizza. Let's assume it's a pizza. So I want to divide this pizza. I want to share this pizza for 2 people. I want to share this pizza for 2 persons. So I need to divide this pizza into 2 equal parts so that each person will take a part of the whole pizza. It means each person will be taking a fraction of the pizza. So let me divide this pizza into 2 equal parts. Though this is two equal parts, and each person will be taking a half of the pizza, a half of the pizza. So I'm going to be telling you what each person will be taking. So this is one, each person will be taking one part of the two equal parts are divided the pizza into. So each person will be taking a half of the pizza. And the second person will also take this part, and this part is also known as a half. So each person that I'm sharing the pizza, we will be taking a half of the pizza or one half of the pizza. What it means is that each person I'm sharing the pizza with will take one out of the two equal parts are divided the pizza into. This is known as a half or one half. Now, this is another pizza. I want to share this entire pizza. It's a O now. I want to share it for 4 people. You can see how fraction is gotten by dividing a whole into smaller parts. So I divided a whole pizza into two equal parts, and this is what a fraction looks like. And each person will be taking a half of the pizza. Now this is another pizza. I'm going to be sharing this pizza for 4 people. Yeah, 4 people, exactly 4 people. So let me share it into 4 equal parts. Remember, I'm sharing it for 4 people. Now this pizza, I've divided the pizza into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts. I'm sharing this pizza for 4 people. So each person will be taking just one part of the 4 equal parts I divided the pizza into. So one person, the first person will take just parts, one part of the 4 equal parts. The second person will take one part of the 4 equal parts I divided the pizza into. The third person will be taking this part, while the last person will be taking this part. So each person will be taking 1/4 of the pizza. 1/4 of the pizza, or one part of 4 equal parts are divided the pizza into. So this is the meaning of fractions. Dividing the whole into equal parts. You can see I've divided all into equal parts, and this is what it now means of fraction. Once a whole is divided into smaller parts or equal parts, it is now known as a fraction. So these are examples of fractions. Remember, fraction means dividing a whole into smaller parts. Now the next step is for us to be able to identify different part of a fraction. Let's know the part of a fraction. You need to know the part of a fraction. So let's look at the part of a fraction. What are the part of a fraction? I will be showing my screen with you. I will show you the part of a fraction. Let's try to know the part of a fraction. Now we have on your screen the part of a fraction. You can see 2 parts of a fraction that is separated with a line. The number at the top is called the numerator, while the number at the bottom is called the denominator. And you can see a line that is separated the numerator from the denominator. You can see a line separated the numerator from the denominator. So these are the 2 parts of a fraction, numerator and denominator. I will be showing my whiteboard with you so that you can understand what the numerator means and the denominator means. So once you know what the numerator and the denominator mean, you will be able to identify any fraction you come across. So let me share my whiteboard with you so that you can be able to understand what fraction means. We'll be sharing the whiteboard with you shortly. Let me show my whiteboard so that you can see how to know the part of a fraction. So let's look at the part of a fraction we have. The part of a fraction. Let's look at the part of a fraction we have. Let's look at the part of fraction that we have. So I will be drawing something on your screen now. So we can now find out what the numerator is and what the denominator is. So let's get started. This is an O. I will be drawing another O. A part that has not been split or divided into smaller parts. That's what the O means. So this is another O. So now let's find out what a numerator means and what a denominator means. So I will be dividing this all into 4 equal parts so that I can find out what a denominator and a numerator mean. Now I've divided this shape into 4 equal parts. So I will be finding out what my denominator is. So I will be drawing my line to separate my numerator from my denominator. So I divided the entire shape into 4 parts, and so my numerator is the 4 parts I divided the entire shape into. The denominator is the number of parts I divided the entire shape into. So denominator means the number of parts you divide a shape into. So denominator is 4. Now let's find out what our numerator is. I will be shading 2 parts of this 4 equal parts so that I can get my numerator. Sorry, that's my numerator. Now I shaded 2 parts of the entire 4 shape, or the 4 part I divided the shape into, and so my numerator is going to be 2. So the numerator talks about the number of part that is shaded, the number of part that is colored, or the number of part that is going to be your own share of the entire whole. So we've got in our numerator is 2, the parts that were shaded, and our denominator is the parts that we divided the whole into, and so this fraction is known as 2/4. So I will be making another example for you. You can see what I'm trying to do again. I will divide these 4 into 4 equal parts as well, so that I can get my denominator. So what's my denominator here? My denominator is going to be 4. Remember, the denominator talks about the number of parts you will divide the whole into. So I will be drawing my line to separate my numerator from my denominator. So my denominator is 4. Now let's find out what our numerator is. So let me shade one part of it, and then so that I can get my numerator. So my numerator is the one part that I shaded. Look at the numerator. So my numerator is the one part I shaded. So the numerator talks about the part that is shaded, that is colored, or that is your own share of the entire whole. While the denominator, it means the number of parts you're dividing the whole into. So now you've now known how to get fractions. You can see you now know the part of a fraction, the numerator and the denominator, and also how to identify fractions when you come across them. So the numerator talks about the top number, while the denominator is the bottom number. The numerator is all about the part that is shaded, or the part that is colored, or even the part that is your own share. While the denominator talks about the number of parts you're dividing the whole into. So now we already know the part of a fraction as numerator and denominator. So now our next step is for us to be able to identify fraction using different models. So how do we identify fractions when we come across them? I will also be doing that with my whiteboard. I will be sharing with you my whiteboard and how we can identify fractions when we come across them. So now this is my whiteboard. I will be showing you how to identify fractions using different models. Okay. So let's learn to identify fractions. So I'm going to be using another shape. I'm going to be using a rectangle this time around. I'm using a rectangle, not a circle that I've been using, so that we can identify different shapes like that. Now this is a rectangle. I'm going to be dividing this into 5 equal parts so that I can get my denominator. So let's start that by dividing it to 5 equal parts. This is the first part, the second part, the third part, the fourth, and the fifth part. So I've divided this rectangle to 5 equal parts. So let me find my denominator. So I will be drawing a line to separate my numerator from my denominator. So my denominator is 5. the 5 parts. I've divided the whole into 5 equal parts, so my denominator is 5. So let's find out what my numerator is. Let me shade. So I've shaded one part, and the one part I shaded is now the numerator. So the numerator is the one part of the 5 equal part I divided the shape into. So this is how to identify a fraction. This fraction is known as 1/5. I shaded one part of 5 equal parts. So now the next step, I'm going to draw another shape so that we can identify this fraction. The shape, I will be drawing a square this time around. I will be drawing a square. Now this is a whole, so I'm going to be dividing into 4 equal parts to make a fraction. Now let's find our denominator and also find our numerator. Let's find it quickly. It's very easy, it's no head. Now, so let me find out what the denominator is. The denominator is the number of parts I divided the shape into. I divided the shape into 4 equal parts, and so that's my denominator. And how many parts did I shade? I shaded 2 parts, and that is my numerator. So the numerator talks about the number of parts you shaded, what the denominator talks about the number of parts you divide the shape into. So you can identify fraction using different models. So I've just given you 2 examples of how to identify fraction using different models. So yeah, we've come to the end of our lesson. So let's have a review of what we learned. We're able to learn the meaning of fractions. We're able to learn the meaning of fractions, also name the part of a fraction, and also we're also able to identify different part of fractions or different fraction using models. It was very nice to have everyone in class. Thank you for taking part in my class. Thank you so much.